I was just at home playing the video games when my ghost dog bit my games machine or something, and it zapped me into the video game world. And now I'm stuck, going from game to game trying to complete them or whatever, until I finally find my way back home. This video is sponsored by Salem's Toys. Please stay to the end of the video to find out more. I leap into someone in a helicopter. I've got a camera, probably to take pictures with. I find out I'm a journalist called Frank West who's researching a story, and I've got a tip, something big is happening. I'm on my way to Willamette, Colorado. The army's on a bridge and it's pretty damn obvious there's zombies all around. But usually in these things people just always act like they've never heard of zombies before. I see one guy trying to hold the zombies off with a baseball bat. Then he's clearly calling out for our help. And I think, well, since we're on a helicopter, I can get some really good angles to take pictures of him as he gets himself killed and eaten by the zombies. The zombies are everywhere. Some are in the park, some are trying to get a bus, and there's even a woman who gets speared off the top of a building. After some trouble, I get dropped off at the shopping mall. Some guy welcomes me to hell, but the joke's on him because it's not actually hell, it's just a shopping mall. When I get inside, I'm happy when somebody actually does use the word zombies. But I'm surrounded by weirdos, including this old lady who won't stop going on about her lost doggy. It suggested that I get some things to help with the barricade to keep these zombies out. On my way to get some stuff, I see an old man, and I decide to take a photo of him. For some reason, he doesn't really appreciate me trying to take pictures of him without permission, and he tries to physically assault me. He's more ill-tempered than the zombies. Old dog lady goes insane when she sees her doggy, and stupidly messes up the barricade, allowing all the zombies in. Well, she wanted to see her dog again, and now she can. In heaven. Because that dog is now dog food, and she's dead. And everyone else is getting deaded too. So thanks to that old banana, we've got to get the flip out of there, as the number of zombies are overwhelming. I barely managed to make it out of there alive, but I managed to get to safety and meet a few others, including a janitor called Otis, Brad, and this lady. The door to the mall is welded shut in order to keep us safe. And I soon realise I've got to stick this out for a few days until I can get picked up. So I might as well spend the time getting the scoop and taking the photos. The lady asked to see my camera and I let her take a look, hoping she doesn't accidentally stumble on the nudes that I have there. It turns out her name is Jessie, and she's all mysterious and stuff because she won't tell me why she's there. Otis gives me a transceiver to communicate with me. I'll find out later that accepting this was a massive mistake, as the silly sausage doesn't stop calling me on it. I meet some guy called Jeff. He asked me to help find his wife, so I agree, but not before assaulting him a bit. I make my way to the mall to see what's going on and what I can find out. After thinking there's a zombie coming around the corner, I almost physically assault Jessie, and indirectly do as she has sprained her ankle. She gives me a gun and questions whether I know how to use it. I say, I've covered wars, you know, so that quantifies me on how to use it. Plus, it's just like a camera, isn't it? You just point and shoot. Except it kills people. It doesn't take me long to see that having people with me is annoying. Jeff spends his time getting caught by zombies or hitting me, so I just take photos of him and let him become dead. I make my way across the leisure park and decide it's time to mow the lawn. It's not my fault if the zombies get in my way. Eventually I meet up with Brad and he's in a bit of an altercation with the guy I met on my way in. Turns out this other guy is called Carlito and he's shooting Brad, and Brad is shooting at Carlito. So I don't think they're friends. I agree to help Brad out by shooting this guy, and after I get some good shots in, he manages to escape. I find out that Brad and Jessie are with Homeland Security, and they're looking for the old guy who tried to physically assault me. So we go looking for the old man, and it turns out he's a professor, Dr. Barnaby, but he refuses to leave the bookshop as he clearly loves books. As the evening goes on, as it always does, it turns to night. And then it turns out that zombies go all red-eyed and more aggressive, as if them trying to chew their way into my neck wasn't aggressive enough. I then meet up with another photographer and we have a shoot-off by seeing who can take the best photos. Soon I find out that if you kill certain zombies, a queen wasp will come out, and if you kill these queen wasps, it takes out a whole bunch of the zombies. Despite the short amount of time it's been since the pandemic started, it doesn't take long for the weirdos to come out though. As I make my way through the park outside, I see these convict psychos who have access to a jeep and a Gatling gun. I decide to let the other people take their attention as I bravely run off. but I soon run into another psycho, and this one is a chainsaw juggling clown. He's pretty good with them too. In fact, he can deflect my shots. As if his mini chainsaw attacks are not enough, he also keeps making these very special creepy balloons which damage me if I don't get out the way quick enough. However, I'm smart enough to shoot as he's given a good blow. Anyway, the joke's on him, or perhaps underneath him, as he ends up falling on his chainsaws and dying. And it's okay to say it's funny because at least he dies laughing. Eventually I make it back to the safe room, and I can see that someone has dragged the professor away from the bookstore, someone who clearly doesn't appreciate the magic of reading. So I go with Brad to find out what's happening, and then that Carlito guy is up to mischief again, and he's hung the professor up like a human piñata. I beat the heck out of Carlito by firing pucks from a hockey stick. I think one of them might have got Brad, but eventually I puck up Carlito and he runs off. But then he manages to shoot Brad, which is Brad luck. So it's up to me to carry the professor back to the safe room, as the professor is clearly too lazy and unconscious. When I get there, the Brad news keeps coming, as someone will need to get medicine for Brad, and that someone is obviously me. It's not going to be Otis, is it, when he's too busy calling me on that transceiver thing every minute. I make my way to the supermarket where there should be a pharmacy. I end up coming across this freak, who has their own special supermarket trolley that I can only assume he saves for Black Fridays or really messed up episodes of Supermarket Sweep. It also seems like he's trying to purchase this woman, which is a bit weird. He's really annoying, but I still manage to kill him. Clean up for a jackass and register 6. So I manage to save the girl, and she thanks me by blaming this entire zombie apocalypse on me and then runs off. Anyway, as I make my way back to bring the medicine to Brad, I find myself witnessing this cult, who's running a cult. I think to myself, I don't have time to stop this cult at this time, so I run off and decide I'll deal with this cult a little later. I get the medicine to Brad and thankfully it looks like he'll be fine. But despite our questions, Professor Barnaby decides not to tell us anything. I continue to make my way around this incredibly unsafe mall trying to gather more information. I come across this gun store, but inside is a gun store freak who wants to hoard all the guns for himself. We have a bit of a shoot-off, which is a bit unfair when you consider he's got enough guns to arm a small army in this store. Still, I manage to shoot up Cletus, the gun store freak, and he ends up getting eaten by a zombie. If only he had a gun. Still, God bless the ease of availability of firearms in the US of A, because now I have access to shotguns and sniper rifles. If this was the UK, all we'd have is harsh language, a feather duster, and an occasional headbutt. After checking out what's going on in the security room, I find out that the mystery girl has a motorbike in the mall. On my way to see if she doesn't mind giving me a ride, I see the ride of the jeep driving lunatics, so I decide to take them head on, with a sniper rifle, from a distance. I manage to make it to the mystery biker girl, and she runs over me a bunch of times, but the Gatling gun from the jeep peeps makes short work of her, even if she does kick me in the balls a short while after. I find out that her name is Isabella, while she also tells me that we caused the zombies, and Carlito is actually a really good boy who's only shooting at us because he wants us to know that he's a good boy. She says she will talk to him to stop shooting us, because he's a good boy. After all this action, I decide it's time to wear something a little more appropriate, and so I decide to dress up as a little kiddie. And dressed like this, I meet this corpulent cop, who's made some arrests it seems, who all happen to be young women. Still, my Gatling gun can still penetrate her body despite her size. She seems to enjoy her death a bit too much though. I would save the girls, but I don't got the time. I make my way to the entrance plaza and there's a few snipers. Whilst the sun doesn't seem as bad as the others, I still kill them all just to make sure. I go to meet Isabella, who's surrounded by zombies. I ask her how did it go, as she was going to ask her brother, who kept shooting at us, if he would stop shooting at us. And she tells me that he shot her. I help out Isabella as she seems to be having a pretty crappy day, but it's not easy when Otis won't stop calling me. Eventually I get back after about 500 calls from Otis, and it's rad news for Brad, who seems absolutely fine now. Almost like he was never shot, even his trousers healed. I change my clothes again so I can look good for when Isabella wakes up. When she does, we want her to spill the beans, but she doesn't have any beans. The professor does go crazy though, maybe because he's found out we don't have any beans. Isabella tells us how it's all Professor Barnaby's fault, as he was conducting experiments with zombies, all because they were trying to find ways to create more meat. So the irony of zombies eating the flesh of humans is clear. Barnaby seems to die and I take a picture of him for the lols, but then he comes back as a zombie and Brad shoots him to make him dead again. I decide now to go and join the cult. However, I don't really like their dress sense, plus they've taken people hostage. So after killing a bunch of the followers, I have a face-off against the cult leader. We get into an epic sword fight and I can't believe how much of a skilled swordsman he is, as he absolutely destroys me, until I beat him. And then he gets killed by this weird statue thingy. I free the hostages, but most of them get themselves killed. Sometimes by themselves. Then I decide it's time for a change of costume again. Time to wear something more me, more comfortable, and I decide to wear a dress. Not long after, I meet this long-haired freak. He threatens to burn the place down, which in some ways would actually do a lot of people a favour, I guess. But still, he's throwing bombs and stuff at me and I don't appreciate it. So I shoot him up, and he finishes the job. Well, I say finishes the job because I've got time to take a photo of him as he burns alive. I went to go and get a fire extinguisher to put the flames out, but I didn't know how to use it and so just threw it at him instead. I go back to the gun shop, mainly to get some guns, but when I get there, there's a bunch of people who just won't stop shooting at me. What I don't realise is that they perhaps worried that I was a zombie, but the good news is they don't have to worry about it anymore, because I killed them. I make my way back to the safe room and I find out that Carlito is looking to blow up the mall. And then I realise they're going to ask this guy, who's wearing a dress, to sort it all out. So of course I have to get to the bombs before they will blow everyone up. I initially make a stupid decision by going on foot. As I go around, not only do I have all the zombies around me, but Carlito also shows up in a van looking to drive me out of town. So I decide I'll be the smarter man in a dress and I go back to the car park and get me a motorbike. I manage to get all the bombs despite Carlito's best attempts to kill me, and I look good whilst doing it too. Eventually Carlito and Brad have a shoot-off. Brad wins, until Carlito wins, which is bad luck for Brad. Isabella tells us about Carlito's secret hideout, so we go there. Isabella shoots some zombies herself, which is a pleasant surprise, but when we get there, she can't find the password to Carlito's laptop. I don't know why we need to access it, perhaps she just wants to see what kind of weird stuff he's into. Eventually I get back to Jessie, and it turns out that Carlito is being dragged by someone near the butcher's shop. I mean, she could have just told me that on the transceiver. Either way, I pay a visit to the butcher, and it turns out that the butcher wants to give me his meat. Well, technically he wants to give me Carlito's meat, because he thinks Carlito is meat, which I guess is technically true. For some reason, Butcher Larry thinks I'm his customer, though I hope this isn't how he usually treats customers, by throwing his meat in their face, the naughty boy. Anyway, we have a feud over food that's not actually food, and by the end he does get meat when he meets his doom, because he gets deaded by me. And after all that, Carlito dies, but not before calling me fat. Maybe it's the dress. I get back to Carlito's hideout and tell Isabella about his death. I try to make her feel better by telling her that her brother was terrorist scum. I'm keen to get Isabella on a helicopter, but she's too distressed and stuff. Jessica gives headquarters a call and tells me that it's all over, as the government have decided to pretend the whole ordeal never happened by bringing in special forces to wipe everyone out. The special forces soon arrive and have a talk with Jessie. They say that if she keeps her mouth shut, they'll let her go, but they don't realise her mouth isn't shut, it's full of human flesh, as she's now a zombie. When it's midnight, the special forces make their way in and start taking out the zombies. Not to the cinema or a nice stroll in the park, but to their death. The Secret Service are doing their clean-up act, but they're often a bunch of idiots, and despite their deadly weapons, just like dogs, they can't look up. So I take advantage of them by standing above them and shooting them and stealing their weapons. Still, despite how stupid they are, I show how much stupider this stupid is, as stupid does get himself caught. I get captured by this Secret Service, and for some reason, they've completely stripped me except for my underwear. Maybe they wanted to see me like this. Maybe they just didn't like me wearing a dress. Who knows? But tying me up hints to something kinky. Eventually, I manage to escape, and I'm running around in my underpants. I manage to beat up a soldier, and then make my way back to shooting special soldiers, just because. And then I spend the majority of my time choosing the right outfit to look good for the ending. Just when I'm checking out an alternative outfit, the special forces try to shoot me. I hope they're not doing it because of my fashion choices. Either way, I kill them. Eventually Isabella gives me a call. The military have done a pretty good job of taking out the zombies, it seems, despite not being able to look up. I get to the helipad and wait for my ride home. Then I wait for a bit more and continue to wait. Nothing seems to happen, but it appears as though Copter Guy is watching me from afar. He then makes his way over to the helipad and I wave at him in my dress. But as per tradition with helicopters, something goes wrong. I'm not sure if it was him being hypnotised by my dress or the zombie that attacked him, but all I know is there was a big explosion in the distance. I fall to my knees as the zombies start to approach me. I think that maybe I'm doomed, in a dress, until I'm transported out of there. I wonder where I'm going next. Oh boy.
New from Salem's Toys. Possessed doll, Erica. Ever wanted to be scared just like they are in the movies, but for reals? She'll follow you about. Leave you messages. Possessed doll Erica is a great way to scare friends and family. And kids.
I love my dolly. Let's be friends forever.
Or just to scare yourself. Use the code #JustADoll and get a possessed mini doll for free.
Please be aware there is no way to get rid of the possessed doll unless you perform an ancient ritual.
Possessed doll Erica.
I'm going to kill you.
From Salem's Toys.